Welcome back to the NC State Insider Podcast. I'm your host and lead beat writer for NC State on SI, Tucker Sennett, joining you here today to talk about NC State's Saturday matchup in Pittsburgh against the Pitt Panthers and head coach Pat Narduzzi, a good friend of NC State head coach Dave Dorans. These guys have history as friends off the field, not a lot of history on the field, only have matched up twice since Pitt joined the ACC, and these two guys have been coaching against one another from a conference standpoint. And Doran has kind of had some ownage over this Pitt program, 2-0 in those two matchups, including a pretty impressive win in 2017 by double digits. So this is kind of a prove it game for this Pitt program. They've won three in a row, and they're trying to sort of continue to solidify themselves as a potential contender to make the ACC championship game in Charlotte at the end of the year. Well, NC State is sort of turning things into a five-game season here, trying to you know, correct some of the issues that plagued NC State throughout the 4-3 start and just find a way to take some positives out of the season, even though they're effectively eliminated from ACC contention. I wanted to run through some of my early expectations for the game. Obviously, we'll dive in a little bit more during the actual game preview, which will be out later this week, tomorrow, likely tomorrow, before the game. And these are just sort of my basic expectations, things that I've observed looking at statistics and you know, kind of basing off of the last time we saw NC State on the field. The receivers have some serious speed for Pitt. This is a team that is capable of creating explosive plays, which, as we know, can be problematic for this NC State defense at times. It wasn't so much of an issue against Notre Dame, at least in the first half. They prevented those explosive plays, and then the defense was just simply on the field for too long. And I've talked about that ad nauseum. I'm sure you're all pretty tired of hearing me say that the defense played well, even though they gave up 36 points. But it's true. They really, really were in an impossible situation with the amount of plays and time that they were on the football field last week or 2 weeks ago, excuse me. And it it starts with, maintaining that possession, but between Kenny Johnson, who ran back a 66 yard or a punt for 66 yards and a touchdown against Syracuse, and is one of those guys, sort of like Terrell Anderson in the open field, where they get the ball and they're fast already, and then they just go to this other gear where it looks like a video game. And that's what he looked like against Syracuse. The guys looked like they were running through mud, and he was just like floating above it. And he's a guy that they'll have to watch out for. Most of these Pitt wide receivers, outside of Johnson and the team leader, Raphael Williams Jr., they all have long touchdowns on the season, so they're capable of breaking games open with big plays. And of course, Desmond Reed out of the backfield is a guy who, can be really effective in the passing game. He dominated against Florida State and probably helped the true freshman quarterback Mason Heinschel get that win for Pitt. So those are certainly some guys that NC State has to be out on the lookout for. With the rotations on defense, you can't get caught, sideline watching or not paying attention. If Pitt tries to go tempo, that's another thing that NC State has really struggled with. I'm not sure that Pitt will go with that, with the true freshman quarterback still kind of trying to figure things out. Although this is a home game, he won't be dealing with crowd noise in the JMA Wireless Dome this week. Should be a little bit more comfort for the young quarterback there. As for the defensive side of the ball, Pitt loves to bring pressure, and we've heard all about this all week from Dave Doran. Is his pal Narduzzi loves to blitz. He loves to load the box and make your quarterback a passer. CJ Bailey hasn't been great against pressure this season. He in the two games or really the three games where he was under duress frequently, those have been NC State's three losses, and he's thrown six interceptions in two of the, or he's thrown a combined six interceptions in two of the three in each game. Obviously, three against Notre Dame recently, and then the three against Duke, where he just didn't look right. Looked like he was pressing throughout the entire second half. Threw that pick on that missed call with the offsides that sort of derailed that entire game and might have, in a lot of ways, derailed the NC State season. They looked like a confident team, and that happened, and they just haven't really looked like the team they looked or they appeared to be through the first 3 weeks of the year. And now they are here with a 4-3 record. Pitt is 20th in takeaways on the season. So can Bailey, avoid making those mistakes in those pressure situations? I know, after the Notre Dame game, and I talked about this the other day, he wants to be a playmaker and he wants to go down swinging, but in a game like this where you're facing a defense that's going to create or that's going to bring pressure in an effort to create chaos and force you into bad decisions, you got to find a way to make the right decision if you're Bailey. And that's a serious question. Can he handle that pressure, both literally and mentally on the field? Can he overcome these issues against elite pass rush? And Pitt doesn't necessarily have the top guys, but they make your life really difficult. I expect their rush defense to be really, really stout against Smothers. That's going to be their focal point. That's their focal point in every game. They want you to be a passing team, and their receivers play off the line of scrimmage. Or sorry, their defensive backs play off the line of scrimmage. They give you yardage, and you shrink the field, and you, it becomes tougher as you go down the field against this team because you run out of room to maneuver and they put so many people in the box. So another expectation is I think this could be a big outing for Justin Jolie. A lot of one-on-one matchups potentially. So can he and Bailey take advantage of those and be accurate and give him opportunities to make plays in the open field or make plays in the air and just make contested catches, which he's done all season long. That could be critical if NC State wants to win this game and move to 5-3 and get their hat back in the ring in the ACC. My final expectation for this game is even though the rush defense of Pitt is so strong, I just think you can't hold Hollywood Smothers down for this long. Uh, you know, Obviously had that explosive game against Campbell, but before that was held in check against Virginia Tech for the most part, held in check against Notre Dame for sure. So I think this is a really, really big matchup for him in terms of just regaining some confidence. Not that he really has lost any, but having the offense regain confidence behind a strong performance from him would go a long way for the NC State team. That's all I got for my early expectations. We'll talk more with the full game day preview, which will be out Saturday morning ahead of kickoff. Go ahead and check that out when it's released on Saturday. As always, if you want more content, you can hit up my social media feeds. You can find me on Twitter at Senate Tucker. You can also find the website's Twitter account at Wolfpack on SI. And if you want daily episodes of the NC State Insider Podcast, go ahead and hit up the Sports Videos on SI YouTube channel and get all the Wolfpack content your heart desires. We'll see you next time.